I've looked at TikTok a couple of times. Is that what your life is?
Life is not all about money, son. Oh my God, these rich people are bad, abusive.
People can't read anymore, Will.
And you can't recall anything because AI gave it to you.
They've never actually taken the time to sit down and figure it out and think.
If you are defeated before you start, you're not going to make it.
And that you shouldn't want any more or do any more, and you don't deserve any more, and you better be humble.
Way of Will John.
What I see right now is these smartphones have made us dumb, right? When I was a kid, and all of us on this video, we're all, in that age group. When we were kids, we had to know the answers. We couldn't just hop on Google and get answers. It didn't exist yet. But these kids these days, they just get on a device or their watch or whatever, they get the answers and they still don't get straight A's. And now with AI doing all your homework for you in a heartbeat, before you finish typing the question to AI, it's already answered all your questions. They're gonna take college exams, they're gonna fly through all this medical school, but with no real knowledge. What happens when you have to real recall the information that has to be regurgitated like Matt and I do, and you can't recall anything because AI gave it to you? So we're setting ourselves up for this huge fall if we don't catch it really quick. That's my opinion.
Distractions, you're calling them, are just the opposite of all the other things, like lack of focus, lack of discipline. But at the end of the day, number one, obviously, peer pressure, friends that don't want to be anything special and you're hanging around will make you feel wrong for wanting to be special. Sometimes parents will talk you out of believing that you're special and that you shouldn't want any more or do any more, and you don't deserve any more, and you better be humble, because that's what the Bible teaches us. And you better be humble, otherwise people won't like you. And again, like, why are you trying to, if you're so worried about everybody's opinion, it's because you don't have a valuable opinion of your own. If I'm worried about everybody else to validate my thoughts and validate my actions, it's because I can't validate my own. So I need everybody else to validate them. Folks, worry about impressing yourself, not other people. And focus on that, and I guarantee you your life will change. But some of the distractions that are out there, man, drugs, parties, food, music, sports. Dude, there's people that are literally sitting there watching all these sports games. Now, again, it's interesting because you're an athlete. What's funny is I always ask people, why are you so worried about another man's accomplishments? Why don't you get on the team yourself? Like, quit worrying about what this dude is doing and start going to figure out what you need to be doing. And if that happens to be kicking that dude's ass in the sport, then so be it. But at the end of the day, I don't sit there and focus on what other men are doing. I don't know all these stats. Sometimes I think it would feel cool to sit around with my buddies that are all into sports, talking about, they know the coach, they know the players, they know when they went to college, they know their stats, they know everything. And I'm like, how the hell do you guys have all this time to freaking figure out all these things? Well, dude, that's a distraction. And I'm not saying none of them are successful, but a lot of them, they're not. They're not successful. Right. Why? Well, because they're so worried about fucking sports, is they don't have any time to think about anything else. So to me, and by the way, if that makes them happy, that to me is the end goal.
For people that don't know what they want in life, they've never actually taken the time to sit down without TikTok and whatever else they got on their phone. Just sit down and figure it out and think, alone. And that's the same way that I apply this. I'm a meditator, by the way, so that's one thing that I do. Meditation, nature, that helps me clear my head really easily. And then I can just, all of a sudden these options come up that you can't see. When you're too down there in the trenches, trying to just one after another, and just harder, this, that, and the other. You don't look up and take a second and say, wait, okay, what am I doing that's so stupid? Because clearly I'm doing something stupid, right? And all right, look what he's doing, right? Let me see this and all this stuff. And it's so fascinating to see how easy, right? How easy it is for the fly to just go out the window, and how easy the same thing works for people who are doing the same stupid habit, same stupid mindset, same stupid thing, and then they just change 1-2 things. Poof. Whole world is different,
I can tell you with absolute confidence
that the cell phone and the computer have destroyed the classroom.
Okay.
I can tell you.
More specifically? Could you be more specific?
Young people are coming to class and they're just doing shit on their phones and their computer screens. They don't care what I say or what the professor says. They're not there. They are not there. They are in social media land. And also what's happening on a more fundamental level, I call it the Twitterization of consciousness. It's distracting people endlessly. People can't read anymore, Will.
I know. I know. Trust me, I know.
Yeah. So, and I say that as a self-description too. I find it harder to read, but the reason we can't read is because we're on social media so often, and it so scatters us. There's so much dopamine or whatever reductive explanation you want to use. We are being rewarded for being distracted, and what education is about is being focused, and that's hard. If people ask what the problem is, here's what the problem is. When you watch a mother talk to the son, if the mother says things like, look at this person, what they do. Life is not all about money, son. Look at this person, what they're doing. Life is about this, life is about that. These people that are capitalists, these millionaires are bad people. They're greedy, they're bad people. And his 12-year-old son is looking at mommy saying, oh my God, these rich people are bad, abusive. They are bad people. They're bad people, son. Never do that. Mom, I'll never be rich. You're right. I will never be rich to disappoint you. The son is not going to be rich to disappoint mommy. So if you look at that and the kid says, hey, son, we're at a restaurant yesterday, Brazil restaurant in Pompano. And we're eating the steakhouse. And the lady who's been waiting on us for the last 9 months. We go there every Sunday to eat at this place. 9 months she waits on us and comes in. And she says, the other day I went on Instagram and I was following your stuff and I really finally realized who you are, why everybody stops you when you come into the restaurant. I said, very cool. She says, my husband is the owner. I said, oh, wow. Well, is he ever here? I'd love to meet him. He said, what do you mean is he ever here? I said, yeah, I'd love to meet him. He says, he's always here. Which one's your husband? He's the guy that brings the short ribs for your dad. I said, he's the owner? Yeah. So you know how these guys, you go to these Brazilian, like Texas.
Of course. Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah.
You and one of the guys that brings the meat to he's the freaking owner of the place. And his wife's the hostess. And I sat there and I'm like, so I look at my kids. I'm like, son, I said, realize why the food here is better than the other Brazil place we go in Miami. Because the owner's here every day. So you realize it's a Sunday.
Exactly.
This is his business. He can be home kicking it. He's here at the restaurant. You know how much we respect this man? So you see my son, he says, Dad, I'd like to know his name. I said, ask the man his name. And so my son is now enamored because a person who owns a business as an operator is there on a Sunday serving us. What do you, the manager, not have to do that? That's why this restaurant is so amazing, Dylan, because great operators who run their businesses, customers keep showing up. It is very hard to do what he does. I respect him so much. So you have one mother that this is a businessman and a capitalist because they're rich. The son's never going to be that. The others say, turning a businessman into a hero. My son's going to say, I'm going to one day start a business and I'm going to be a great operator. I'm going to take care of my customers because I want this kind of respect. Everything is about the hero-making machine. We are turning the wrong people into heroes today. Those are the victims. We're no longer turning these people that risk their entire life savings to start a business. In many cases, 90% of the time, doesn't work out. Lose a house, lose their cars, lose their marriage, divorce. Running a business is so hard and risky. But we're not turning these people into heroes. We're saying they're greedy, they're bad. All they care about is Ferraris and Lambos. That perspective has confused the nation to realize maybe I should be the complainer because I get more eyeballs. Maybe I should go out there and cry because I get more eyeballs. Rather than, no, you ought to go be a leader like this person that started a business. Our hero-making machine has been screwed up the last few years, and that's why people are confused, specifically the youth.
The love of reading and learning and the curiosity with which it can do. And I feel for the society, and maybe some of the younger generation now that maybe don't have that because the pull of TikTok, our content is educational or inspirational to learn languages, right? Because that's another thing that I enjoy doing.
Yes, you speak many languages, don't you? Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what it is, right? So that's our contribution to it. But whenever I maybe am on there and I go to the home screen, it is mind-blowing. Not just what's on there, the speed and the uselessness of the story. And then you'll get this. They might even take some stuff that could be good to learn. They'll package it in a short form way, right? Even if they could take one of your videos, right? It's packed with information. They'll try and cut out all the good points. And they'll put it in there for a minute. If you watch this video for a minute, the second you flip off and there's some girl shaking, everything, and then there's a football goal, and then you have no idea what you learned in that first minute. You have no clue because you can't learn like that. And so back to your point on reading books and being aware, your brain changes when you do these things.
I can't explain how I feel when I read. Yeah, it's just a different world. And I get overwhelmed sometimes reading because it is. Yeah, I sometimes can't read because I know I can't cope with the emotional happiness I'm going to go through by reading, because I just won't be able to stop, and I'll have too many ideas and I want to write things, and it's just like, how can I cope with all that? It's and then yes, I mean I've looked at TikTok a couple of times because I thought as a YouTuber or creator I should do that, but exactly, I looked at this and the first few were just, is that what your life is? Yeah, is that what? I know. I don't get it. What value are you to society?
The Pareto principle is at play here, just as it is in all parts of nature and stuff like this, but the majority of it is crap, right? And the majority of all things are crap. That's how it works, right? But it seems as if that we are rewarding the wrong things within TikTok, whether or not that's us rewarding it or us being manipulated, if you want to go down that route, just for some people. Regardless, there's this quote by one of my favorite footballers. I actually got a chance to play against him. His name's 𝗪𝗟𝗠𝗏. He played for 𝗚𝗚𝗎 Milan, and for the Dutch national team, et cetera, et cetera. But he has this quote where it's, and I'll butcher it, but I can paraphrase to some degree, in which case now your goal as a footballer, a young person, pretty much in all sports though, is to become a star, right?
Yes, I've heard this, yes, for someone.
Instead of being good at the thing that would make you a star, yes, you want to just be a star.
Life's a facade, like, in a way, what is the real value of it? I mean, to me, and there's this thing I talk about occasionally, and I mentioned it, I think, in our last talk, which is that there's this Indo-European poetic phrase that fame does not decay. And what that talks about being a star is about do enough good in your life that people want to talk about you. Forever, not just for that 30 seconds of TikTok fame or whatever. I mean, although I would like to also balance it out by saying not all of this, the younger generation or Generation Z, use TikTok or in that way, that we do have hope in humanity. But I just wonder, those who spend more than 10 minutes a day looking at TikTok, I wonder, that 10 minutes you could probably do something better to make your life 0.1% better. And if you do that every day by the end of the year,
it's crazy. It's crazy what can happen. That's so true.
If you are defeated before you start, you're not going to make it. You just have to be stubborn and stick it out. And keep going. We got so much these days with, self-care, and I don't want to put that down. People don't take care of themselves enough. But at the same time, that can make you, I want everything handed to. That's not how the world works. The world doesn't care.